I've been reading this webtoon recently and I just had to talk about it. The Nuna at Our Office is an amazing story that I highly recommend, especially if you're looking for a more mature romance series. Before I continue talking about this series, if you could leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. I make new anime and manga content every single week, so look forward to it. This series is by far the most mature romance series I have seen written. The way the characters interact with each other is amazing, and it really enhances the story and the romance between the characters. There aren't many webtoons that I hold in super high regard, and even less romance series, but this series had me intrigued right from the first chapter. One of the things that I find the most unique about this series is that it is 100% told from the male perspective, so we don't get to see what the main woman is thinking, which really helps to enhance the story because as we are reading and as their relationship grows, we get to see a change of the perspective from the guy. At first, he really admires her and thinks that she is an amazing woman who can literally do anything. But as they grow closer and as he starts learning more about her, his perspective changes and he starts to realize that she's just like everyone else who has struggles that she goes through as well. Another thing about this series that I adore is the fact that this series is the furthest thing from overly sexualized. The characters in this series are super mature and know when to back off and give the other person personal space, which I really love. Not to say that there are no intimate moments however, because there are, but they're just not always the sexual type, and a lot of the time they're just super wholesome moments. I don't know how much more praise for this series I can spew, but this series caught me off guard. I did not go into this series expecting anything special, the opposite actually, but somehow I ended up discovering a gem that I now hold extremely close to my heart and is one of my favorite romance series in general, not just webtoons. This series is amazing, and if you're tired of reading your 100th high school romance series, then I highly recommend that you give this series a go because you won't be disappointed by what you read, I promise you that much. It's time to spew more praise the series' way by talking about the amazing characters. This series knows how to write characters super well. One thing that I really like is that there are almost no side characters in this series, and when they are there, they have almost no big role at all. The series focuses solely on the two main characters, but those two characters are some of the best written and most mature characters I have seen. Like, it feels like these characters have already gone through a character arc before and have just stumbled on a new path where they can grow more. There's something about the characters of this series that really resonated with me and made me completely fall in love with this series. This is going to be a slight spoiler, I apologize, but I just want to talk about this real fast as a way to show the maturity of the main guy. But when it is revealed that the main girl is already in a relationship and already had a kid, he backed off respectfully and just decided to remain friends and co-workers. But as time passed, he learned that she was going through a divorce as her husband was a piece of shit, completely abandoning her and her child for his own bullshit, and the main guy jumps in and helps her through the situation by just being a shoulder she can lean on. He never steps out of his boundaries, he's just there for her when he needs him, and vice versa as well, which to me shows a massive amount of maturity because in most high school oriented series this would be seen as a moment to steal the girl and get what you want, but here all he's thinking about is her well-being and if she's okay. He also helps out with her daughter a few times as that's what a good person would do when her friend is really stressed out. Okay, back to the non-spoiler talk, I apologize, but this series is a GOAT in terms of writing really mature adults falling in love with each other. So if you want a series with some absolutely god tier characters that aren't going to go through the cringy teenage bullshit you see in most series, then I highly recommend that you check this series out because I know you will fall in love with the characters just like I did. The series is way too good for its own good, and I can't say enough about it, so please, I don't say this a lot, but this series is a must-read series for anyone who loves romance solely on the backs of its characters. The art in this comic is beautiful, as I'm sure you've been seeing throughout the course of this video. The art is some of the best I have seen for a series like this. It really helps to accentuate the characters and gives them the vibe that we're looking for in that moment. I love that it doesn't have the typical sparkly pretty art style that we see in a lot of other romance series and instead has a more grounded realistic art style that is still stylized and beautiful. I love this series' art, man. This series literally does everything right in terms of how to handle a comic, and it shows. You can feel the passion of the creator in every new chapter that releases. I honestly can't keep praising this series enough. Please, just read this series, you would be doing yourself a massive favor. The Nuna at Our Office surprised the hell out of me. I figured this series would be good, but calling this series good is doing a disservice to the series. Like, I have not been this passionate about a series in a very long time. Not to say that I haven't liked everything I've watched or read in that time, but nothing has really hit the same high like this series did. There's just something special about this series that I just can't praise enough, and I need more people to read this series so I can gush about it more. With all of that being said, you should read this series because it is amazing. Before I end this video, I want to say one more thing. The script was one of the easiest scripts I have ever written for a video. I just sat down and started writing without stopping until I got to the end. Normally I have to take multiple breaks in between, but not with this script. So if that doesn't tell you the quality level of this series, that even a slow ass like me can still sit down and easily gush about this series, then I don't know what will. Okay, I'll end the video now. Bye all 20 people watching, I'll see you next week.